All right. What's up, Rob? What's up, Joseph, Peter, Zach? Right on. Right on. Hello, everyone. Hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Am I coming through? Am I coming through? Let me just check the levels here. Levels here. Whoa, why are these levels not happening? Oh, okay. Let's see here. Give me just a second. All right. What's up, Rob? Whoa, Joseph, feedback, Peter, feedback. Zach, right on. Feedback. Whoa, whoa. All right, there we go. That should do it. That should do it. Whoa, whoa. Hey, what is going on out there? Hey, speak to me, people. Speak to me. Speak to me. DDW, what's up? Jessica, user 13, Casey Green Gables. Right on, Dale. Hello, everyone. Hello. Where are my peeps? What's going on here tonight? We've got a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. All right. You can hear me. Everybody can hear me. Lyle, what's up? What's up? TC, Kurt, Dale. What's up with everybody tonight? How we all doing out there? Oh, how's my evening? Oh, it's good, except for I was out working in the yard. I got bit by a tick. Oh, so there you go. Nature in all its heavenly glory. Okay, let's get this back up. Back from California. Right on. Right on. There we go. All right, so all right, my level seems to be a little on the low side. I'm gonna bring this over here. Get this down here. Okay. There we go. There we go. Right on. Where's my levels? Okay. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna switch. I think I'm gonna switch here. Whoa. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Oh, way into the red. Way into the red. This is like voodoo. I don't understand this microphone anymore. All right, there we go. A little bit into the red. Little bit into the red. Let's keep that down. All right, nature sucks sometimes. Yes, it sucks your blood. Yes. All right, there we go. All right, Jimbo, what's up? Matthias, what's up? Book lover, right on. 11D levity, right on. I just took it out. It hadn't really gotten in too deep. Hadn't gotten in too deep, but it wasn't swollen or anything. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Oh, too loud. Too loud. Too loud. Okay. Oh dear. Too loud. All right. Too loud. Too loud. Let's bring this down just a bit. 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 There we go. There we go. Oh. Oh. There we go. There we go. Oh. How we doing out there? All right. Oh, right on, Veneer Traditionalists. Glad you could be here. Everybody's going to let me know what they want me to call them. Okay. Somehow I thought being bit by a tick was appropriate for the movie that we're going to talk about, which is a very strange thing to say, but I don't know. It just kind of feels a little bit appropriate. This is a great movie. Me and the missus watched this movie again last night. This is just I liked it even better. I don't know how many times it's been, but I liked it even better again. I just love this movie. I just think this is just one of the best movies of the past 10 years or so. Just a phenomenal movie. Maybe past 5 years, I guess. 2017, 2018. Anne Green Gables had a messaging system with lanterns in the window. And she also had freckles. And she's mentioned in Code 46, which is a movie that I want everyone to watch. Code 46, Tim Robbins, Samantha Morton. And in case you're wondering, the answer is yes. All right. All right. Oh. Yes, we are keeping the tick. We are keeping it. Yes, we are keeping it. Hopefully we'll not get sick, but we'll see how it goes. You know, I haven't been by a tick in a long time. Yeah, Dark Song is awesome. It's so good. I hope everybody got a chance to watch it. This is just such a phenomenal movie. And we have a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on. A lot under the surface, so to speak. Right. Just wondering to see if anybody's going to saunter on by. The movie Code 46. Tim Robbins and Samantha Morton. You can actually watch it on YouTube. Use a hot lighter, remove a tick, press it against a tick, and it will squirm and react, and head will fall off. We already took it out with tweezers, but let's all go camping. Yes. Yes. Camping meetup. Yes. Yes. That sounds like a great idea. That sounds like a really good idea. All right. All right. Let's get this game started here. 21 folks tonight. I guess we're a little early still. Hope everyone's doing all right. Dale? Yes. Looking forward to figuring out what I watched. Yes. Well, we're going to explain it in quite exhaustive detail. This is just a lot going on here. Oh, my goodness. My goodness me. My goodness me. All right. Bronwyn, glad you could join us. Hello. Good to have you with us. We've got all the regulars tonight. This is great. This is good. This is great. All right. All right. Let's get this thing going. Hello. 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 All right. A Dark Song. 2018 or variously 2017 Irish film or variously Anglo-Irish film. Written and produced by Liam Gavin, who's been knocking around. I think this is his first feature film. I believe he directed it as well. Starring Steve Oram, an actor who I'd not been familiar with, and Catherine Walker, another actor I'd not been familiar with. So this is all brand new, and this is one of the reasons why I talk about how much I like independent and kind of grindhouse kind of movies that don't have actors that don't have the same old faces. I feel I can involve myself more in the reality of the story when I'm not going, oh, well, I saw that person in this and that movie wasn't very good and all this kind of thing. Some people go to church on a Sunday morning. I do this. Well, this is the new church, so here we go. Here we go. All right, so those are the basics. Dark Song, Liam Gavin, Steve Oram, Catherine Walker. All right. Catherine Walker plays Sophia. Sophia is a young woman who is estranged from her family and has spent time in a mental institution. And in my divers, heads up, rents dilapidated house in Wales to perform rituals. This is why I wanted originally to do this together with Requiem, because they both take place in these old houses in Wales. So there's a lot of similarities there. All right, so we see her in this ritual setting. Sophia's son was murdered by kids messing around with the occult. 7-year-old son named Jack. She wants to speak to him again, or so she says. She actually gives the magician Joseph Solomon a few different stories, leading him to believe that she is deceiving him, which in fact she is, as we find out in the film later on. All right. Joseph Solomon is not motivated by money, but a need to perceive the hidden architecture of reality, claims science only describes reality at its most basic level. He refers to his magic as Gnosticism. So, interestingly enough, note the strawberries on the cup there. I just noticed that. This is a type. I mean, these sort of street level magicians, itinerant magicians, freelance. She was the fourth person or he was the fourth person that Sophia had contacted. Everyone else had refused to do this ritual for her. And he initially is reluctant at first. He does not want to get involved in it. He wants to go back to London until she reveals the truth to him, and that entices him. He says that he has performed the Abramelin ritual 3 times. It worked once. So that goes to show you that this is no game. This is not a joke at all. Hi, Cascadia Sasquatch. Strawberries on cup. Yes, absolutely. There you go. Little, I don't know, a little Easter egg, but maybe the shimmer at work. The Sophia character does have some thematic similarities, as we discussed. All right. So we are in the archetypal world here. This is pretty heavy stuff here. The movie itself is kind of constructed like a play. It very much feels like a theater piece. But we have Sophia and Solomon, which go all the way back. All right. So let's just talk about Sophia for a second. Sophia is the wisdom of deity. She has been revered as wisdom incarnate by the Jews, as queen of wisdom and war by the Greeks, so that would be Athena, and the Holy Spirit of wisdom by Christians. There are many references to Sophia in the book of Proverbs, credited to Solomon, son of Davidson, and in the apocryphal books of Sirach and the Wisdom of Solomon, which are both accepted as apocrypha, I guess, or pseudo-canonical texts by Catholics and Eastern Orthodox. She is the goddess of all those who are wise. God gave wisdom to Solomon, and that he became wiser than all the kings of the East and all the wise people of Egypt. So Solomon and Sophia have a relationship in the Bible. Wisdom, chapter 8, verse 2, tells us that Solomon was considered to be married to Sophia. One of the many layers of symbolism attributed to the Song of Songs is that it speaks to Solomon's marriage to Holy Sophia. All right. And we see a depiction of Sophia on the left. Okay. Now let's just talk about Solomon for a moment. According to legend, King Solomon was not only the wisest man in the land, but he also had magical abilities. By the Renaissance, a number of magical texts called grimoires were penned in his name. So Solomonic magic, probably a lot of people are familiar with that. Anyhow, let me just skip down here. Solomon was the wise son of David's son, and ruler of Israel and Judah in the 10th century BCE. The earliest references we have to a Solomonic folklore come from 1 Kings, where Solomon's wisdom surpasses all the people in the East and all the wisdom of Egypt. So he is learned in the ways of the Egyptians and the Chaldeans, learned in the ways of magic, and is on intimate terms with Sophia, who represents sacred magic, and probably sacred sex magic if we go by the Song of Songs or the Song of Solomon. All right. This is Proverbs. I've mentioned this before in the blog. This is the 4th proverb. Listen, my sons, to a father's instruction. Pay attention and gain understanding. I give you sound learning, so do not forsake my teaching. For I too was a son to my father, still tender and still cherished by my mother. Then he taught me, my father taught me, and he said to me, take hold of my words with all of your heart. Keep my commands, and you will live. Get wisdom, get understanding. In other words, get Sophia. Become in communion with Sophia. Get understanding. Do not forget my words or turn away from them. Do not forsake wisdom. Do not forsake Sophia, and she will protect you. Love her, and she will watch over you. So even with the sort of mealy-mouthed translation here, it's clear that Sophia is a deity, a female deity. She is a person, or a persona, or personage. She is not just a concept. So do not forsake Sophia, and she will protect you. Love her, and she will watch over you. The beginning of wisdom is this: get wisdom. Though it cost you all you have, get understanding. This applies to Joseph Solomon, the character in A Dark Song. Cherish her, and she will exalt you. Embrace her, and she will honor you. She will give you a garland to grace your head and present you with a glorious crown, which we see in this statue here, which I believe is in Prague or Budapest, where she is presenting the seeker after wisdom with the garland, with the laurel garlands, the garland of wisdom. All right. The apocryphal book of the Wisdom of Solomon mentions Solomon praying and receiving the spirit of wisdom, aka the spirit of Sophia. Through her, Solomon learns astrology and the powers of spirits. And this is this is from the 7th chapter. For it is he who gave me unerring knowledge of what exists, to know the structure of the world. This ties into the movie, and the activity of the elements from the beginning and the end and middle of times, the alternations of the solstices and the changes of the seasons, the cycles of the year and the constellation of the stars, the natures of animals and the tempers of wild beasts, the powers of spirits and the reasonings of men, the variety of plants and the virtues of root. I have learned what is secret and what is manifest, for wisdom, Sophia, the fashioner of all things, taught me. So this is very interesting because these are all arts that the Watchers taught in the Book of Enoch. Isn't that interesting? So Solomon is saying that the exact same arts that the Watchers were said to have taught to men were taught to him by Sophia, who is the wisdom of God, the part of the divine council, the hall of deity. So this passage here is thought to be the earliest reference to Solomon's ability to command demons, which is sort of the point of the grimoires in Solomonic magic, is to name demons and to control them through knowing their secret names. All right. And these, of course, are medieval talismans of Solomonic magic. Okay. And these are from grimoires. We see Tetragrammaton and all the different various names here. These designs have continued to this day. We see the inverted pentagrams here. We see the circle and triangle, the coiled snake looking a bit like an Ouroboros. All right, so these are talismans. These are considered very powerful in Solomonic ritual magic. All right, and in the grimoires and in the entire tradition, all these people like the Golden Dawn and Aleister Crowley and all these people use these devices quite a bit. All right, and we see them in the film here. We see the sigils and the talismans of Solomonic magic being used throughout the film. All right, and we see an Eye of Ra there and various things. It's all very, I guess you would say, unorthodox, but we'll get into that. All right. So let's talk about the Abramelin ritual. And there's weird old Uncle Alistair and his star there, being all full of himself. So the centerpiece of this film is meant to be the Abramelin ritual, and a number of people have observed that it isn't exactly the Abramelin ritual, as we'll see from the Book of Abramelin. I would argue that what we're seeing here is a form of ritual, more modern Western ritual magic, not so much the medieval forms of Jewish mysticism that we would see in the Abramelin ritual. All right. To me, it's entirely consistent because, of course, we have people like Crowley and so on who are very catch as catch can with their magic. Did not stick to the book, so to speak. And actually, I was watching that channel Esoterica, that rabbi, I forget his name. He does a lot of work on esotericism and the occult, and he had said that Crowley had started the Abramelin ritual and had walked out on it, which is a big mistake, and that's referred to throughout this film. All right. So let's talk about the Book of Abramelin. Of course, that's Hermes Trismegistus, not exactly Abramelin, but we see the two conflated a lot in book covers, I guess. There are no surviving depictions of Abramelin, so that, I guess, is will do. Will do. All right. Thrice greatest Hermes, right? Hermetic magic. Anyhow, the Book of Abramelin tells the story of an Egyptian mage named Abraham, or Abramelin, who taught a system of magic to Abraham, a Jew in Worms, Germany, presumed to have lived circa 1362 to circa 1458. So this is the golden age of ritual magic and grimoires. This is the High Middle Ages, and the grimoires and so on. Chaldean magic, as it was called, the early Kabbalists. This stuff was very, very popular in Europe. All right. So the story involves Abraham of Worms passing his magical and Kabbalistic secrets on to his son, and tells how he acquired his knowledge. Abraham recounts how he found Abramelin the mage living in the desert outside of an Egyptian town which borders the Nile. Abramelin's home sat atop a small hill surrounded by trees. Abramelin was an Egyptian mage and taught a powerful form of Kabbalistic magic to Abraham. He was a venerable, aged man and very courteous and kind. He discussed nothing but the fear of God, the importance of leading a well-regulated life, and the evils of the acquisition of riches and goods. So even though the Abramelin ritual per se is not exactly depicted in this film, there are a lot of touchstones that show to me that this Gavin character did his homework quite well. And I believe the actor did his homework as well. All right. An expert on the Kabbalah, Abramelin said he learned his magical knowledge from angels. Angel magic again. So we're in the neighborhood of the Watchers. Isn't this interesting? And, we just talked about how Sophia had taught Solomon the same exact arts that the Watchers were said to have taught early man in back in the day, right? The angels told Abramelin how to conjure and tame demons into personal servants and workers. Don't ever try that. Bad idea. Maybe Abramelin could get away with it because he was very hardcore. Don't try it. How to raise storms, right? Which the sirens did, didn't they? Abramelin said that all things in the world were created by demons who worked under the directions of angels. So we have a sort of a spin on the demiurge and the archons here, right? So there's a lot of Gnostic influence in this kind of magic. And that each individual had an angel and a demon as familiars. The basis for this system of magic, he said, may be found in the Kabbalah. Abramelin magic is similar to that found in the Key of Solomon, considered the leading magical grimoire. It is based on the power of numbers and sacred names and involves the construction of numerous magical squares for such purposes as invisibility, flying, commanding spirits, necromancy, shape-shifting, and scores of other feats. Rituals for conjuring spirits, creating magical squares, and making seals and sigils are elaborate and must be followed exactly in accordance with astrological observances. All right, so the invisibility, Joseph Solomon in the film says that what he wants from the angels is the power of invisibility, which is very interesting. But he also, like Abramelin, eschews material wealth. Material wealth. He shuns that. He's not interested in money. He's interested in the hidden architecture of reality, seeing the face of God. Okay. Abramelin extracted a promise from Abraham of Worms that he would give up his false dogmas and live in the way and the law of the Lord. That Abraham would do this, that he would give up his false dogmas and so on. After this, Abramelin gave Abraham the divine science and the true magic embedded within the two manuscripts, which he was to follow and give to only those whom he knew well. The practical magic of Abramelin centers on a set of talismans composed of magic word squares, as we talked about. So that's the Sato or Repo Tenet opera, right? You're familiar with those magical squares, right? These are similar to traditional magic squares, though the latter are usually composed of numbers, while Abramelin's squares contain letters. Right, exactly, as we discussed. Commonly, word squares are used as puzzles or as teaching aids for students. In the context of Abramelin, the focus becomes mystical, so that each square should contain words or names that relate to the magical goal of the square. A parallel is found in the famous Sator Arepo Tenet opera Rotas, as I mentioned before, word square, an altered version of which is also found among Abramelin's squares. All right? So these are some of the squares here. Belial, I believe, is a demon. So I guess these would be demonic names and friendship of a person. So various goals, whether you want to make friends or you want to command demons. Why not? Why not do both? Right? So very interesting. All right. Now, what this reminded me of, and we're going to see a lot of these parallels. This is from the X-Files, of course, the Sixth Extinction, and talking about this rubbing from the god ship, as it were, corresponded to a magic square. So Chris Carter obviously incorporating this kind of magic into ufology. Excuse me just a moment. I thought I had to sneeze. All right. Oil of Abramelin is a ceremonial magical oil blended from aromatic plant materials. So I guess it would be cloves and so on. Also olive oil, I think, is the basis for it, is olive oil. It was described in a medieval grimoire called the Book of Abramelin, written by Abraham the Jew. The recipe is adapted from the Jewish holy anointing oil of the Tanakh, which is attributed to Moses in the book of Exodus. And this is where we get the term Messiah and Christos from, the anointing with the holy oil. Abramelin oil became popular in the Western esoteric tradition after publication of MacGregor Mather's translation of the book of the sacred magic of Abramelin the Maze, and especially via Aleister Crowley. So oil of Abramelin, which you don't see a lot used in this film. So maybe that's one of the issues that people who are a little more orthodox within magic have. And of course, since the X-Files and the Cocteau Twins are the grimoires of our time, we see on Four Calendar Cafe, the Oil of Angels, maybe a song we can discuss at some point in time. Oil of Angels, Oil of Abramelin. All right. And maybe we can discuss what Elizabeth uses the oil of Abramelin for. All right. So here's where we get into Crowley. So here we see Abramelin on the left, commanding the demons to follow his instructions. He knows their secret names, their arcane and forbidden names. This is something that we see in Jewish mysticism, where if you can ascertain the names of the demons, you can either cast them out or control them. All right, and this is what we see here, and handed down through us through Western esotericism. So, having studied the Book of Abramelin during his time with the Golden Dawn, author and occultist Aleister Crowley adapted the concept of the holy guardian angel from Renaissance magic and made it central to the philosophy and practices of Thelema, popularizing it in the process. So the Thelemic OTO, his sort of spin-off, and so on. In his earlier writings, Crowley states that the holy guardian angel is the silent self. So this, in other words, in modern parlance, this would be the higher self, all right? But in later life, Crowley proclaimed that the holy guardian angel is not oneself, but rather a discrete and independent being. Yes. As you probably have figured before, I'm not a big fan of the whole God within thing. I think it sort of leads to a very solipsistic mindset, and I'm assuming that Crowley felt the same here. That Crowley felt the same. All right. So this is Crowley's adaptation of the Abramelin ritual, which, according to sources, he did not actually perform. The ritual takes anywhere from 6 to 18 months, requires an enormous amount of preparation, fasting, teetotaling, celibacy, and so on. But anyway, let me just read this. The adept will be free to concentrate his deepest self, that part of him which unconsciously orders his true will, upon the realization of his holy guardian angel. So this is, I guess, when Crowley still felt the holy guardian angel was the higher self. The absence of his bodily, mental, and astral consciousness is indeed cardinal to success, for it is their usurpation of his attention which has made him deaf to his soul, and his preoccupation with their affairs that has prevented him from perceiving that soul. So the body and the mind and even the astral consciousness needs to be controlled completely to contact the holy guardian angel. And this ties in with things that I've talked about in the past as far as getting their attention. You need to get their attention. You need to show that you're worthy. You need to show that you're dedicated. You need to show that you will do all that it takes to perform these rites before you can be let into the Holy of Holies. The effect of the ritual has been to keep them so busy with their own work that they cease to distract him being Crowley, to separate them so completely that his soul is stripped of its sheaths, to arouse in him an enthusiasm so intense as to intoxicate and anesthetize him, that he may not feel and resent the agony of a spiritual vivisection, just as bashful lovers get drunk on the wedding night in order to brazen out the intensity of shame which so mysteriously coexists with their desire. To concentrate the necessary spiritual forces from every element and fling them simultaneously into the aspiration towards the holy guardian angel, and to attract the angel by the vibration of the magical voice which invokes him. So, yes, glossolalia, barbarous names, barbarous words, all part of these rituals. And again, this is a very demanding ritual that few have been able to complete. Needs your complete and total dedication. All right. So this is our background. So I was very tickled to see the characters being Solomon and Sophia. I felt that that's like a sign that you're in the right hands. All right, you're in the right hands. So here we go. So there's not much of a plot here. I mean, there's not much to discuss as far as plot. There are a number of manifestations of the supernatural and so on, but we see them performing these rituals. Joseph Solomon, seals the house with a salt circle, and they're not allowed to leave. He's very adamant that they should not leave, that if they leave, that they will be hounded by demons and so on. The house, they begin the arduous, demanding, and often humiliating ritual, sitting for long periods of time without food or using the bathroom or drink. very punishing, sitting on these hard floors in this old house without heat by candlelight. And we see him draw a number of like magic squares and all sorts of magical diagrams and so on, and describe the ritual and the goals of which. And he keeps these notebooks. He keeps these notebooks that he consults quite often to respond to events in the ritual that are not foreseen. All right. So here we see Solomon and Sophia, which I just find absolutely tickling, right? The ritual is slow and torturous, frustrating both Sophia and Solomon. Sophia then reveals that she will petition the angel for revenge for the death of her son, the boys who killed her son, in an occult ritual, infuriating Solomon because he feels that she's been withholding information from him, and that is frustrating the process of the ritual. But we do see these manifestations. We see this sort of spectral fairy dust, I guess you would say, for lack of a better term. There are knocks. There are visitations from a demon impersonating her son, and so on. A lot of good jump scares. This is a horror movie. This is some really good stuff here. So Solomon insists that Sophia practice the ritual of forgiveness. She refuses to forgive, so he takes her in the bathtub and drowns her. There we go. While he's drowning her, he invokes Horus, Orpheus, Baal, and Christ. And then he drowns her, and then he revives her. And she does not appreciate that. She does not appreciate that at all. At all. But their relationship is very strained. They do not. There are some moments of levity and relaxation, but this is a serious business, and they do not seem to like each other very much. All right, there's no romantic developments as we would normally see in these films from time to time, right? So they're having an argument over her treatment, or his treatment of her, and she stabs him with a kitchen knife. He believes that this was no accident, that this is the sign that the ritual has truly begun in earnest. Unfortunately, the knife is very dirty, and the wound becomes infected, and he starts running out the clock. He is living now on borrowed time, okay? Again, not a huge amount of plot. I mean, the plot is these two people, these two strangers, go to this abandoned house in Wales and perform this ritual, this grueling and arduous ritual, all right? And it's interesting because we see this is sort of looks almost like I guess Hindu letters, Hindu writing, right, or something like that, Sanskrit maybe. Solomon describes his magic as Gnostic. He's not, again, so the criticisms that he's not performing the Abramelin ritual exactly are valid, but in this case, he is not an orthodox Kabbalist. He says the Kabbalah is just like a grammar. It's a framework. He's sort of transcended Kabbalah and so on, right? Which, of course, Abramelin was a practitioner of, all right? And this is a bit out of order, but there are these very, very chilling scenes where Sophia... whoa! Whoa! There's that sneeze. Sophia has these conversations with her son, which is interesting because at first she just says that she wants to speak with her son. So she gets her wish in a way, but of course it's a demon impersonating him. And these scenes are incredibly chilling, incredibly chilling. But we find out a very crucial piece of information that is going to play into sort of the subtext of this film that I'd like to get into. All right. Solomon dies. His wound becomes gangrenous, and he dies of septicemia. Um, he's about to tell her. He's about to reveal something to Sophia, but he dies before he can do so. Sophia breaks the seal, the seal, the magical seal around the house, and leaves, and just sort of travels the Welsh moors here, as we see, following his death. Theft and wandering around lost, let's just say, right? Unfortunately, she ends up back at the house. She wanders around for hours on foot. Her car won't start. She gets to what she thinks is somebody else's house, and it turns out to be the house from which she came. So there we see her at the door, very disappointed, but enters the house anyway, all right? And unfortunately, what she's confronted with are demons. Demons have basically got the run of the place now. The seal is broken. Solomon has died. Sophia went on walkabout. And now, again, the house is the dominion of demons. Demons are just everywhere. And we see this old woman and the vision of her son. This is a vision she had earlier in the film in a parking lot, and we see the demon here. Again, some really good jump scares in this film. And as she's looking at that, this guy who looks like a Hindi, seedy mystic comes up and whacks her in the head with a bone. Looks like a femur. This is a demon in the form, I guess, of a city mystic, whacking her in the head and knocking her out and taking her down to the basement, which is just is hell. I mean, she is taken down to hell, and there are demons everywhere. And unfortunately, I could not get good screen caps of it because the screenshots, or the camera, more accurately in the film, is all over the place. Very quick jump cuts. Very hard, a lot of movement, very hard to get a good look at these things. But when you watch the film itself, you definitely have a very strong sense of their presence. So very disturbing, very, very disturbing. What the demons do is they amputate the wedding ring finger. So the ring finger on her left hand is amputated by these demons. Now, this is very interesting to me because when she's talking to the demon who is impersonating her son, he asks her, "Were you with that man when you were supposed to be picking?" In other words, were you with that man when you were supposed to be picking me up? He was supposed to be picked up at 3:30, and then he encounters these boys who end up murdering him, implying that she was with her adulterous lover while she was supposed to be picking Jack up from school. And I believe that this is the message in the amputation of the ring finger, that she had been out carrying on with her boyfriend while she was supposed to be picking her son up from school. So I believe that what she is driven by in this film is not just a quest for revenge, but tremendous feelings of guilt, that she had, if she was there for Jack, this would have not happened. And that the implication when Jack asks her, "Were you with that man?" was she with her lover while she was supposed to be picking him up? So this is a subtext that is not stated openly, but to me it's very fascinating, and this is the kind of thing I just love about movies, when things are put out there, but then the writer is not drawing attention to them. You need to put together these things for yourself. But I believe that this explains the amputation of the wedding ring finger. All right. So she's released by the demons. She ascends the stairs, and oh my God, I just love this scene. Oh God. just really, I was so not expecting this. It was one of these things where when I watched the film, I was totally taken by surprise, and it was just so phenomenal and so powerful and beautiful. And what she asks the angel for is the power to forgive. You know me. You know me with this kind of stuff. I just was just absolutely blown away by that. And of course, the fascinating thing again is that the angel is portrayed by a woman actor, by an actress, is wearing this dress. So this is where we talk about the androgyny and the effeminate nature of the angels and the archangels and so on. Apparently, this is meant to be an archangel. He's never identified, but with the sword, I would probably guess that this is Michael, that this would be the archangel Michael. All right, and so many of these horror movies end badly. They just have gruesome denouement, and you just sort of leave depressed. I was just so blown away by this scene and just so. You got to watch the film, and this just did not capture the effect of it. The effect of it, just so amazing and just so uplifting. And the forgiveness, and my interpretation is not only forgiving her son's killers, but forgiving herself. Forgiving herself. All right. Really, just absolutely amazing and beautiful, and just an amazing palate cleanser after that really upsetting sequence with the demons. Again, she comes back to the house, and it's just infested with these demons, and they take her down to the basement, and then yeah, I just absolutely love this. I love this film, and one of the reasons I love this film is because of this scene. This is how it pays off. Yeah, I'm not being terribly eloquent here or coherent even, but this is just an absolutely beautiful scene that just is the perfect capper on this film. Absolute perfect capper. So then Sophia takes Joseph Solomon's body and weighs it down in this pond in back of the house and leaves and drives home. So we do have a little bit of Buckley here, I would say. And Sophia, of course, we know who played Sophia in the Millennium Dome show, don't we? And yeah, I mean, there are little touches. I don't think it's anything intentional. Might be a little bit of shimmer action, but again, really, really beautiful. And then we see this, and our friend Brother Lyle pointed this out, that this pose she takes with the reflection is very much similar to this. I don't know if this would necessarily be Solomonic or alchemical, but this icon, this image, this idol, tetragrammaton. This is the throne of God here, and just really amazing. And we can see that Templar cross there. Very interesting. So we see the Seal of Solomon, aka the Star of David. We see the Ouroboros, right? And we see the Templar. And we see that sort of layer cake crown here. And then the Inferno below that. So excellent symbolism in this film here. Just across the board, this film is just absolutely riveting. You would think that just two people in a house carrying out this rather arcane and inexplicable ritual would be kind of boring to watch, but it is not. This is just a phenomenal movie, very beautiful and uplifting, and it shows you that horror even, religious horror can have beauty and transcendence at its core. And that's what we see here. And it's just absolutely transcendent. All right. So, interestingly enough, so one of the things that I was thinking about when I was working on this is I've talked about how the really great things, and I mentioned Stranger Things and Mandy, take elements that you're familiar with from other stories, right? And put them together in new ways, this to me is almost like this is what a classic does. This is what defines a classic. A classic is something that takes these tropes, it takes these elements, and puts them together in a way that is unique and fascinating. All right. All right. So Lyle says that the cloth Sophia wraps Joseph Solomon's corpse in is the yellow cloth with the Sanskrit writing on it. All right. Well, there you go. There you go. And here's another fascinating sync while I was working on this. And this was thanks to our friend Samantha Morton, her Twitter feed. She had pointed us to this Joseph Solomon lookalike named James Ford, a police officer who was convicted of raping a child after victim's testimony, raping a girl and wiping his phone to avoid detection after the victim gave powerful testimony in court. And look at that. That is just rather, rather remarkable in a disturbing synchronistic way. And of course, Samantha, our friend Samantha, always helping us out with these kind of stories, this kind of information. There you go. Very, very interesting connection there. And of course, the strawberry cup is right off screen, right? So, so one of the things this obviously reminded me of is the Babylon working. So we see the very horrible television program Strange Angel here on the right. I think that's supposed to be Hubbard with his shirt open, which is just weird. And of course, Jack Rayner playing Jack Parsons. That guy has some questions about. But anyhow, the Babylon Working was a series of magic ceremonies or rituals performed from January to March 1946 by author, pioneer, rocket fuel scientist, and occultist Jack Parsons and Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard. You guys know all about this. I'm just going to go over this just in case anybody has not heard of this. This ritual was essentially designed to manifest an individual incarnation of the archetypal divine feminine called Babylon. All right. So, as you know, the point Jack Parsons wanted to find a vessel for the Moonchild. He wanted to give birth to the Moonchild. All right. The rituals drew largely upon those and the sex magic described by English author and occult teacher Aleister Crowley. Crowley was in correspondence with Parsons during the course of the Babylon Working and warned Parsons of his potential overreactions to the magic he was performing, while simultaneously deriding Parsons' work to others. Yes, I get fairly frantic when I consider the I get fairly frantic when I consider the idiocy of these goats. Get fairly frantic when I consider the idiocy of these goats. That's what that's how Crowley described the Babylon Working, right? And of course, it could be argued Parsons was dead within 6 years, and his life was in shambles by the end of 1946, wasn't it? So, again, don't play with this stuff ever, ever, never. Just leave it alone. There's a great quote from one of Parsons' old partners. This guy named Ed Foreman had inherited some of Parsons' library after Parsons died, and apparently his daughter was looking through the library and looking through one of the magical texts, and Ed Foreman told her, said, put that away. Don't mess with it. He said, it's all real. It's all real. It all works. Don't mess with it. You'll get yourself in real trouble. which is an excellent message for anyone. Excellent advice for us all, absolutely. Do not mess with this stuff. Even if you're completely dedicated, it will more likely than not destroy you. This was one of the things that watching this film was, as I had said before, was a revelation for me, because I was sort of realizing I'd written that two magicians walk into a bar post that I included in the Endless American Midnight. And I was really starting to feel, the more I studied magic, the more I learned about it, the more dangerous it seemed to me. All right. Now, certain people involved in magic and occultism, near paganism, get very upset when you say that, and you're like, "Oh, you sound like a Pat Robertson or something." And no, I sound like somebody who sees the inherent dangers at work and want to protect people from them. This is not a game. These are not things to play with. These are things that can completely fuck up your life, as they have done to so many people. And the thing that I really appreciate about Dark Song is that even though Joseph Solomon was a completely dedicated occultist and ritual magic practitioner, he was still destroyed by it. I just thought that was very true and real, all right, and something that I think we should all take to heart, all right. Another movie this reminded me of was The Legend of Hell House. I don't know if anybody's seen this movie, 1973. One of my favorite movies. This movie scared the absolute shit out of me when I was a kid. Roddy McDowell and some other actors. Pamela Franklin's in it. Some of you might know her from the movie Necromancy with Orson Welles. Really, this is absolutely terrifying movie. Believe based on a Richard Matheson story, because everything is, right. And is the same kind of situation, like Old House. These team of investigators, three of whom are psychics and a scientist, or mediums, let's just say, go to cleanse this house of this demonic presence. All right. And here we see a great scene from the opening. This is a phenomenal movie. If you get a chance to watch it, please do. If you haven't seen it, try watching it as soon as possible. This is a great movie, and I believe that there is a Crowley inspiration or influence. I mean, a negative one, but I believe that the character who is doing the haunting was based on Crowley. All right. So, very interesting movie that had a lot of commonalities. Again, when I was watching A Dark Song and thinking about how great it was, and thinking about how a classic takes elements from other classics and makes them something new, this is one of the films I was thinking about. So please do, if you have not seen Legend of Hell House, please watch it. It is an absolute must-see. All right. This is a TV movie, another 70s film. Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. Kim Darby. Some of you might remember from Star Trek. She was also in the X-Files. This is a very scary film for a TV movie. It was remade a few years ago. Kind of came and went. Nobody paid much attention to it. This is a very, very frightening film. Jim Hutton, the late Jim Hutton, who is Tim Hutton's father. Tim Hutton is also in The Haunting of Hill House. So nice little connection there. So we see the tagline here. Can you see them, Sally, hiding in the shadows? They're alive, Sally. They want you to be one of them when the lights go out. A story of something not human. All right. So this is the same kind of situation. This woman, often alone, her husband's a traveling salesman, and she's often alone in this house with these creatures, these gremlins here. Bruce Rux had sort of compared this to like an alien thing, but that's what he does with everything, right? So yes, if you haven't seen this movie, please do see this movie. It is a phenomenal movie. Very, very scary. I have it on DVD. Um, it's funny because I was thinking about these creatures and it seemed like they seem more like imps than demons, and thinking that the UFO lore, as it's described, I know a lot of people will describe them as demons, but they remind me again more of imps. Sort of like these quasi-evil fairy gnomes, trolls, whatever. The world is full of stories of them, as you see here. This is a very scary film and very highly recommended. Of course, The Shining. Absolutely, The Shining, right? Again, I mean, it's a hotel, but it's same difference, couple and their son, their psychic son, take off to a deserted lodge in the mountains in the off season during the winter, isolation and so on. The Jack character here loses his mind, absolutely, doesn't he? And we see the maze here, which is foreshadowing of his ultimate fate. And we talked about this film before with the rather shockingly bad treatment that Shelley Duvall received by Stanley Kubrick. And actually, Kubrick's daughter was rather aghast by this and had sort of gone into this in the documentary and the making of this film, a film that, of course, Stephen King hated and he remade, and nobody remembers the remake, right? And of course, again, the demons. This is very, very similar to what we see in A Dark Song, so it's a very similar kind of thing. I mean, of course, they're not doing invocations or rituals or so on, but they're still visited by these specters or these demonic presences in the film. All right, this is a film I need to. We are actually. Never mind. We're going to be doing a live stream on this in a couple of weeks. So, yes, very, very similar to A Dark Song. Very, very similar. Evil Dead, of course. Evil Dead 1 and 2. Bruce Campbell, Sam Raimi. Obviously sort of comedy horror, but same kind of things with these books, these grimoires. Both films revolve around these grimoires, right? One's kind of like the Necromonicon and so on. And I guess the Egyptian Book of the Dead in the first one. So, again, very similar, isolated cabin, very, very similar, demonic manifestations and so on. So, not entirely similar, but not entirely dissimilar. The same kind of themes here is what I'm talking about, right? Cabin in the Woods. Yes, Joss Whedon. And we see a young Chris Hemsworth on the left there, right? Is sort of an MK Ultra subtext to this film. We can probably end up doing a talk on this. Maybe not a full live stream, but this might be something interesting to talk about in the context of modern horror tropes, Joss Whedon and so on, right? So here we are. We see Joseph Solomon painting Sophia, and here this looks like Chinese or Japanese characters. So we see him writing in Sanskrit. We see here we see the Japanese characters. So again, this is very eclectic magic. This almost reminds me in some ways of Kenneth Grant. Kenneth Grant was mixing all these things from these other traditions from Asia and Africa and so on. And we see the body painting here, which, speaking of Samantha, we see in Cracker. Robbie Coltrane just recently passed away. We've been talking about that on the deep dive. They still have not released his cause of death. As it happens, he was staying in a home owned by Camilla, Camilla Queen Consort. The consort of King Chuck E. Cheese. we see the same kind of situation here, where the young Samantha, 16 years old here, her body is daubed with those similar similar markings with black paint that we see used in this ritual. This is a ritual. This is ritual murder here. This is a very hard scene to watch, by the way. This was made a number of years ago, and it's a very, very difficult scene to watch. It's very disturbing and upsetting. Just give me a second here. Yes. Cracker, the Big Crunch. It's on YouTube. Very much worth watching. Samantha Morton has still not said anything about Robbie Coltrane's death. And of course, I very, very strongly suspect that she was involved in the making of National Treasure, which is very thinly veiled. Romana Clef, let's say, of Billy Connolly. But again, so this is similar things, the ritual body painting, and so on. One thing that this reminded me of, again, we talked about the X-Files with the Magic Square. This is the episode Dwayne Barry. Dwayne Barry, played by Steve Railsback, who was most famous for playing Charles Manson in the Helter Skelter TV movie or miniseries back in the 70s, which turned out to be absolute nonsense. Victor Bugliosi, very sinister, deep state lying kind of character. But again, I mean, in this context, we really see these are demons. He is being subjected to the same kind of treatment that we see, that reminded me very much of the treatment that we see in the basement of A Dark Song. I won't go into the episode Millennium, the X-Files episode Millennium, but, again, kind of similar thing. Steve Railsback played Charles Manson in Helter Skelter. He was also in Life Force, which was originally written by Colin Wilson. Space Vampires was the novel. So very heavy connections with this guy. And of course, in the second part of the story, we see the Nick Cave connection. The Nick Cave connection here. And actually, if you look, wow, I just noticed this now after, almost 30 years of watching this. There's an eye in the corner. Steve Railsback on this similar kind of ritual. This almost reminds me of like a Solomonic talisman. The leftmost alien, just above his foot there, there's an eye in the background there. I just noticed that. Chris Carter getting fancy with the Watcher symbolism. There you go. There you go. And again, this is Steve Railsback. This is Dwayne Barry. The relationship that Dwayne Barry and Mulder have reminds me of the relationship that Solomon and Sophia have in A Dark Song. And if you watch it, you'll see what I mean. And in the center there, we see a very young Sarah Strange, an actress I am quite fond of indeed. So there you go. And also the Blair Witch Project. Heather, what is it? Was it Heather O'Donnell? Who was that her name? Anyway, the actress who was in Blair Witch Project was in a really good episode of Outer Limits, and then she was in Steven Spielberg's Taken, right, which was his take on the X-Files. But the whole idea with, like, when she goes on this walkabout and she just ends up where she started, reminded me very much of Blair Witch Project. And the old house and so on, the sigils, these sort of primitive fetishes here and so on. So again, there are all these other influences in this film, at least as I perceive them, that I think really enrichen the experience very much, very much. Chris Carter, again, a lot of people have never seen this. This is called The After. This was basically his post-apocalyptic. This is going to be a series on Amazon Prime. He basically kind of dropped it when he signed on to do the X-Files revival. He wanted to do 99 episodes. It was all based on the Divine Comedy by Dante, of course. And here, and again, a very kind of similar situation where we have these 7 figures that remind me very much of that episode of, those dolls in the garbage can who all think that they're real people. Very much, very, very broad stereotypes, let's just say. This is a sort of a post-apocalyptic scenario. They hole up in this abandoned mansion here, and at the end, they discover this rather horrific demon, whose face actually looks not unlike the demons or the imps in Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, of course, right? But the interesting thing I found here, too, is the writing. So we see this sort of Ouroboros here. Chris Carter, well known for using the Ouroboros in Millennium. But all this are arcane writing. So this is all this is the skin of the demon. So this seems to be a trope here with the writing and the tattoos. There are certain biblical scholars who believe that when Paul the Apostle talked about having the mark of God, that he was talking about tattoos, ritual tattoos, which of course were forbidden in in Leviticus. I believe they're forbidden in Leviticus, but that's all. Paul's whole thing was that we're freed from the law, we don't need to follow the law, and so on. Atonement by grace. And this is another shot of that just wonderful, wonderful scene at the end, which I just found rather inspiring. Again, so that rabbi character, I forget his name. A lot of you have probably watched his channel. He does a lot of really interesting explorations of various esoteric and occult themes. He had said that the depictions of the angel here are very similar to those in ancient Jewish mystical texts having to do with palace mysticism. There's palace mysticism and there's chariot mysticism, I believe. Palace mysticism, I guess, is sometimes called throne mysticism. But he had said that the depictions or the descriptions of the angels are very similar to this. But again, this is an actress here, a female actor, and wearing this very elaborate gold lame, basically a dress. So again, we've talked about this on a number of occasions, the androgyny of the angels. The angels are all trans, right? And we see these sort of these little floaters. And this is we see these early in the film, and this is the sign that the angels are starting to pay attention. The angels and the demons are starting to pay attention. And the sign that we get the angels are paying attention to these little sort of almost like snowflakes floating in the air. And again, I just find this scene to be just so beautiful and uplifting, and just a wonderful grace note. Wonderful grace note to end the story on. Not everything needs to end with horror and dismay. You can end with an uplifting note and not tarnish what has come before. I don't believe that the story was tarnished by this rather beauteous scene here. All right. So, again, there are a lot of other things at work here. There are probably a lot of other things that tie into this. And again, not a lot of plot, but it's the mood and the atmosphere and the attention to detail is what I find so riveting. And again, my interpretation of this is that she was as much responsible for her son's death because she was off carrying on with her boyfriend, so to speak, her side action, and that the removal of her wedding ring finger is kind of like symbolic of that, and speaks to her sacrifice in that regards, and asking for the power to forgive. Oh, absolutely just beautiful, 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 beautiful. Yes, you've got to see this film. It is just absolutely amazing. Bronwyn says it looks like Pallas Athena, that helmet. Sophia is Athena Minerva, wisdom goddess. Absolutely. Absolutely. Justin Sledge, yes. Esoterica, yes. Does very, very good work. He's not a real rabbi, but he is interesting. Okay, I did not realize that. That's very good. It's good to know. Thank you very much for that information. Pallas Athena. Casey Green Gable says, by the way, Chris, if you ever wanted someone to transcribe any of your live streams for hard of hearing members, I'd be happy to. Thank you. I appreciate that. Jimbo says, one of the disturbing ritual scenes relatively recently was the one in the Shining sequel. Dr. Sleep takes place in Fraser, New Hampshire, right? Involving the torturing of the young boy, extracting his spirit essence while he screams. Yeah, I don't need to see that. That is a scene I definitely do not need to see. Another somewhat similar movie is the Dunwich Horror. Yes, with what's that guy's name from Blue Velvet? Dean Stockwell, Sandra Dee. Based on the Lovecraft story, it has ritual, cryptic body writing, campy, but a great movie. Yes, I did see that movie, Joseph. Very good. Lyle says, Doc Song, I feel, is a mass public initiation. Possibly. I don't know if the public has really caught on to it. Haven't seen it either. Zach says, haven't seen it either. Figured I'd wait till after watching the stream. Yes, beautiful movie. I cannot possibly recommend this movie highly enough. Even though, like, if I could have, get away with not spoiling the ending, I would have. But you will be inspired nonetheless. You'll be inspired nonetheless. It is absolutely just so. Yeah, this movie gets my highest possible recommendation. As with Mandy, both films I could not possibly recommend highly enough. All right. So let's see here. Let me go back here. All right. Oh, so Doctor Sleep. Yeah, I watched some of the scenes, some of the clips from Doctor Sleep, and it just has that whole present day flavor that I just found very annoying. First step of X-Files, ritual body painting. That's not the first step. That's Red Museum. He, she is one. Yes, we've talked about that. Absolutely. The two characters played by, was it Jim Fraser and Elizabeth Rosen? So Elizabeth Fraser, of course, because what else could it possibly be? The script Solomon writes are a variety of languages, I think. Absolutely, yes. Casey Green Gable says, I think my aunt knows Sanskrit. You should ask her. Please do. Matthias says, lots of demons this spooky season. Yes, 'tis the season. Book Lover says, cabin in the woods. Even the old ones get stupefied by TV. Casey says, Joss Whedon is such a weasel, but I've been wanting to watch Firefly for some unknown reason. I mentioned Firefly, the Reavers, when we were talking about the Black Skulls in Mandy. Right. Lyle says, in The Shining, Jack is sort of doing a ritual discipline on his Nazi typewriter. Yes, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Yes, absolutely. Evil Dead, yep. Evil Dead 2, yeah. Both movies, minimal characters in one setting. It's called, on television programs, they call that a bottle show. Joseph Fabry says, I wonder what happened to Rux. He'd done some great shows back in the day. Yeah, Rux and I were pen pals, and we were bouncing emails back and forth for quite some time. And then he just didn't like me anymore. He started giving me a lot of hassle. He did not approve of the siren. This was during the whole siren explosion. He did not approve. He thought it was ridiculous. Who turned out to be right, Bruce? Who turned out to be right? All right. Kim Darby, this is Rob, says Kim Darby played in 2 movies based on Charles Portis books, True Grit and Norwood. Yes, Kim Darby played the quirky mother in the beloved 80s comedy Better Off Dead. I was just thinking about John Cusack today. Summoning demons to do my dirty work is like hiring criminals to do it. Yes, that is wonderful. That's tattoo worthy, Ultra Terrest. I love that. That's absolutely true. Absolutely beautiful. All right. Casey says, when I die, eventually I'm going to walk swiftly over to whatever goblin hut Aleister Crowley is living in and give him a stern talking to. That's great. I love it. All right. Joseph says, all roads lead back to Crowley. Yeah, I guess in this realm, yeah. He sort of spread his stink all over it. Lyle says the cloth. Oh, I mentioned that before. Let's see. Peter says the angel scene is staggering. Absolutely. I was just. I. It's been a long time since I had an experience like that from just a single scene in a movie. Casey says from the screen cap alone, it reminds me of the scene in Constantine when Tilda Swinton plays the Archangel Gabriel and does a similar pose. Yes. Yes, I believe she plays Gabriel. Yes, the angels are all trans. Absolutely. Ultra says, Luke chapter 11, 24 to 26, demon comes out of a person returns to the house is filled with demons. Very interesting. Classic dad sneeze. Thank you. Oh boy. Okay. Square reminds me of course of the Saturn Square. What are we talking about? Ramsey Dukes. Why do I know that name? Esoterica is packed with info. Yes, channel is definitely packed with info. Yes. Seal of Solomon, I believe so. Sofia Bulgaria. Yep. Okay. Argument about the strawberries in the cup. They look like strawberries to me, but maybe I just have strawberries on the brain. Strawberries, she turned 13 on. Casey says, currently trying to find my resin incense burner in the vortex of my room so I have the proper atmosphere for this live stream. Oh, well, there you go. All right, we're talking about the tick. Yes, the tick. Oh, dear. All right, so let's go down here. Let's see here. All right. Okay. All right. All right. So Lyle says, in other words, there is no plot, but one is so traumatized watching the film that is almost as if we've been through the ritual ourselves, and we are rewarded with the beautiful angel scene. Yes, I think that's probably true. Joseph says, sorry to hear that about Rux. Well, I'm a hard person to get along with. I'm very willful. I don't let people give me shit, basically. CD asks, wondering if we can stumble into the etheric remnants of a ritual by unknowingly physically occupying the space of the circle. Is there a perpetual time component to the possible energy that emerges? I would guess, second question, I would say no. I don't think there's a time component. And the first question, I would say yes. I think that rituals are meant to charge locations. That's kind of the whole purpose of it. And yeah, I think that we could do so. So we need to be very careful in that regards. Absolutely. Let's see here. Casey of Green Gables, please watch Code 46. Please watch that. I'll ask my aunt about the Sanskrit, though she is very frail and old now and might be super excited to be bombarded with another one of my strange requests. I'm staying out of it, Casey. I'll let you handle that yourself. User 13, I cried at the angel scene. I never cry at movies. Yeah, it's just so beautiful. So beautiful. Vanna Traditional says, Ramsey Dukes, Lionel Snell, same guy, living legend, and one of the magical old guard. Okay. I don't really keep up with magical practitioners per se. I'll take your word for it. I just knew that name. I just knew that name. I knew that name. And, right. There we go. Rob says, I was just listening to you on Grimerica mentioning your time at New England Comics, and now the tick has returned. Yes, unfortunately, the tick has returned, hasn't it? Yes. Oh, yeah. Well, you listen, it's been a while since I was bit by a tick, and I don't think it did too much damage. It wasn't swollen. It seemed to be kind of just burrowing in. Very nasty little creature. It was probably, hopefully, I think it was a dog tick. Didn't seem like a deer tick. So, yeah, we're keeping an eye on it, treating it with antibiotics and so on. Topical antibiotics. All right. Anyway. So, ask me some questions. Ask me some questions. I'm going to open the floor. There we go. Yeah, so I wanted to end on this scene because, again, it's just so beautiful and inspiring. So beautiful and inspiring. Now, the interesting thing that I did want to talk about, it's interesting to me how much traditional angelic magic is not completely unlike demonic magic. It seems that the methods to summon both were very similar, very similar. So I don't know what that means. It's not work that I've ever done, nor would I do. I think those kind of things are best left alone. Best left alone. Have I read Alan Moore's Promethea? Absolutely. Yeah, I did read it. Even though it was just a real slog to get through when it became basically Golden Dawn Summer Camp is how I describe that. But basically, when he was going through the tarot and so on, I found that very taxing. I liked it when it was sort of like his take on Wonder Woman, but that whole sequence when it just became again like occult summer camp. I had a hard. First of all, I knew all that material pretty well. Particularly at that point, it was pretty fresh in my mind, and I didn't really need to be reading about it. And there's some of that kind of creepy young girl stuff in there, but we won't talk about that. But yes, I did read it. I enjoyed it up until that point. I did. Those first 12 issues, I really did enjoy. Zach says we've seen how dabbling in black magic worked out for the kids in Die Hand die Verletz. Yes, absolutely. Great episode. What's the abramelin oil doing for anybody? Just used in ritual, and Elizabeth uses it in different kinds of rituals. Maybe we'll talk about that sometime. Casey of Green Gables. Oh my gosh, my mind goes blank as soon as I'm able to ask questions. Let's see. What time of year would theoretical meetups be, and when is the Astronosis conference? I don't know when it is. I just talked to Miguel about it. I'm not sure exactly when it's going to be held, but it's going to be held in America, so you won't have to get a passport if you don't have one. Matai says, I also want to show you similarities between African diasporic religions and the Solomonic magic. I might know about that. I studied, I talked about the Yoruba and so on, and the similarities to the ancient mystery traditions in Secret History of Rock and Roll. Hold on a sec. Have I seen Sightseers? No. Steve Oram and Alice Lowe. Nothing to do with this, but good. Well, maybe I should watch it. Casey Green Gables, do you have many vivid dreams, lucid dreams? I know of good supplements for inducing them. Yeah, I do. I do quite often. I've been taking edibles at night, um, and they kind of like, I don't know what they do, but they sort of suppress the dreams like that. But yeah, I mean that's a whole other discussion. But I do have very vivid dreams. Phil asks, so how do you think Moore reconciles Promethea cult stuff with the Lovecraft stuff? It's probably all the same to him, I would imagine. Probably all the same to him. I would recommend you read his Lovecraft trilogy, which is The Courtyard, Neonomicon, and Providence. I think those are sort of the cappers to his story. Favorite bands aside from Cocktail Twins? Do I still have the music side blog? Yes, I do have the music side blog. Favorite bands? Gosh, a lot of them. I don't know. I'm sort of freezing. Of course, I love the Clash and Killing Joke, Mastodon, um, Drab Majesty. Well, I mean, I do love that album. King Crimson. Mm, it's kind of hard to say because I so much of my old music I've kind of just burnt out on. I never burnt out on the Cocktail Twins though. Uh, yeah, I mean it's kind of interesting. My tastes I think are more lowbrow than people would assume. Like I like Stone Temple Pilots a lot and so on and so forth. CD says, what is the relationship between the shimmer and the angelic demonic? Is the shimmer phenomenon agnostic in the garden of good and evil? Still collating information on that, CD. I really can't answer that. It's something that I guess we'll find out, as time goes on. At this point, I would say that it just seems to be itself. I can't really connect it to more traditional modalities, let's just say. Bronwyn says, please do some live streams at the meetup. I can't travel, but I don't want to miss out. Absolutely. Absolutely. We will accommodate you, Bronwyn. Do not worry about that. Casey says, edibles at night are the best. I get actual visions in them, dreamlike ones, and yet they do suppress the actual dreams. Yes, they do. Zach says, next Astronosis conference should be held in Atlantis, Atlanta. Good idea. Edibles. Okay, post-punk. Dead Can Dance. Hold on a sec again. Yeah, I'm a big fan of post-punk, especially stuff like the Chameleons and Comsat Angels. Dead Can Dance I used to be really into, and I kind of lost my taste for them. I saw them in the tour when they basically were recording their live album. What was it? Toward the Within, I think it was. And they didn't do any songs that anybody knew. And I found Lisa Gerrard just to be absolutely insufferable. But I used to be a big fan of them. And I was actually listening to that most recent album they did, and I did kind of enjoy that. Zach says, new King Crimson documentary premiere tonight on live stream. Thank you. I've been waiting for that. Thank you. Thank you. Casey says, good slowcore bands. Yeah, I'm not really familiar with it. 11D Levity says, do I like the Pixies? Yes, I do. I don't love them, but I do like them. And have as much magical content and balance out the Cocktail Twins. Well, they were on the same label, weren't they? Dead Can Dance is awesome. Within the Realm of the Dying Sun. Yep, that's a good one. The Chameleons. Yeah, and again, I love Drab Majesty because they basically are just the modern Chameleons. Dead Can Dance is a bit hit or miss, yeah. Again, I just found Lisa Gerrard to just be, there's just something about her I just absolutely rubbed me the wrong way. Brendan is very charming and personable. He did seem like a very cool guy, but Lisa just seems like absolutely, completely full of herself to a degree that is really off-putting. The early gothy or post-punk stuff is better in my, uh, yeah. My favorite song by Dead Can Dance is Ulysses. I love that song. I absolutely love that song. I love those strings. I love those kind of string arrangements. Casey says, I feel like you've definitely heard slowcore bands. I'm familiar with the slowcore label. Well, tell me the bands. I might have. Big fan of 90s stuff. Today you guys are going to just be discussing. I was listening to the Carpenters today. And I think I got the idea in my head because of Jeremiah Sand and man, do you like the Carpenters? I think they're just sensational. Swamp Thing. Yeah, Chameleons were phenomenal. Oh, that was such a good band. that album, Strange Times, is my wife and I. That's one of our favorite albums. Joseph says, you mentioned in a podcast that you were into Buddhism years ago. What happened with that, if I may ask? Yeah, I was into Buddhism. What happened with that? I think what happened with that is that, I didn't have any support for it. It was 80s in New Jersey, and there was just nowhere to go with it. And I remember calling some of the Buddhist places in New York at the time, and they weren't very helpful. It's kind of like when I wanted to go back to church, and nobody would talk to me. I just felt completely isolated. The minister would. The minister was a great guy. I always felt like I let him down, but if I could talk to him now, I'd just say, listen, I'm very fond of you, Reverend Dutcher, but I just felt completely alone and isolated there, which is not a place, you shouldn't feel alone and isolated in church. What was my favorite Dead Can Dance song again? Ulysses. Ulysses is my favorite song. Top 3 constellations. What? Let's see. Lyra, of course. Heaven of Las Vegas, right? What else? Virgo. Elizabeth, Virgo, right? And Boötes, the Bootai. There you go. Demons and angel evocation, very similar procedure. Demons are more likely to come through as the chthonic realm is more closely tied to the physical earth. Angels are celestials. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. A lot harder to get their attention. Casey says, are you very active on Spotify? I'll follow you on there. Yes, I'm very active. I have a bunch of playlists. I don't think I've made them all public yet, though. CD says, in my opinion, shimmer seems like a neutral signal from somewhere. Seems like a beauty in its lack of attachment to traditional modalities. I think it's the earth, to be honest with you. I think the shimmer is the earth reasserting itself, but there you go. Jimbo says, Low is a great slowcore band. I've heard the name. I don't know if I've heard a lot of their music. Levin Levity said, was Loretta dying more significant than that? Liz, nobody is so good. Haven't heard it. Good interesting choices. Speaking of the shimmer, I renamed one of my Spotify playlists into the shimmer after reading articles on it in the Secret Sun blog. Good. I hope it's all Cocktail Twins song and related. Maybe some Sundays or Bel Canto or Grimes or early Dead Can Dance, whatever. Ooh, I'm getting a spinny. Ooh, I just got a spinny. Casey says, the earth reasserting itself. What was that quote from Philip K. Dick's Exegesis? The opposite of entropy. What's the name? You got me. All I know is that Philip K. Dick prophesied Elizabeth, and he died three days before she made her big debut, which is very upsetting. Casey says, I have lots of spooky woo-woo type playlists, so yes. All right, there you go. I have I have my 90s mega mix, which is, I don't know, like 17, 18 hours long, something crazy like that. I've got a bunch of my 1983 playlists, my 1979 playlists. I have my Hypnagogic Megamix, which is all my music for doing hypnagogic trance work. Cocteau Twin stuff. I was listening to my 2000s, mostly like early 2000s, 2010 playlist. I've got a new metal playlist, believe it or not. Yeah, a lot of good. I'm going to be playing a lot more. I'm going to be doing a lot more playlists and so on. God in the Detritus. God in the what is that? The Trash Stratum. God in the Trash Stratum. And of course, Elizabeth did that song with that DJ fellow. Trash Stratum song. Casey says we'll listen to all your playlists soon. Had only done so sporadically before. Yeah, I should post links to them on the Patreon. I've been kind of amiss in that regard. And I apologize for that. All right. CD Philip K. Dick prophesied Elizabeth. Jane, you written that up. I feel like I read it ago. Yeah, boy did he. Yeah, that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, he definitely yeah, I have written that up. Yeah, and I'm just, because he talked about when God appears, sort of, talked about the trash strata, but also like on a commercial, and I just think about those ads they did for Fruitopia, and it just kills me that he didn't live to see all that. He would have loved that. Make a spooky playlist. Yes, sure. Making very long, very specifically themed atmospheric playlists is very cathartic. Absolutely. Absolutely. Totally agree with that one. Yes. Yes. All right. Spotify also allows any playlist to be made collaborative so others that you follow can add to it. Try that with some of those, yeah. I work very hard to curate my my playlists to an exact degree. I want them to be very perfect, so but there maybe are some that I can do that with. Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of 80s, 90s. Yeah, like I said, my tastes are not terrifically obscure. Pretty mainstream alternative mostly. I love just really good pop songwriting, right? Whether it's rock or dance or whatever the format is, I just love a great pop song. I think it's a great art. Have I read any Duchovny's novels? No, 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 I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I feel no. I'm very fond of David Duchovny, but I don't think I really would have patience for that. One is very weird, early country stuff like Carney Flint to Flint. And, I'm gonna put together is I'm a big fan of like real old school gospel music, like the real crazy, over the top, the big gospel choirs. Everything is like almost like hardcore speed. Very exciting music. Broadcast. I was listening to Broadcast last night. Funny you should mention Broadcast. Yes, very familiar with Broadcast. Yeah, and that woman died rather mysteriously. Any Halloween plans? Well, it's my wife and I made the big mistake of getting married on Halloween, which we thought we were so clever, and then realized that we couldn't do anything about it when our kids had to go out trick or treating. Do I like FKA Twigs? I like what I've heard. I don't know if I've really pursued that a lot, but I do like what I've heard. If you have any recommendations, please pass them on. I've not heard Pram. Who am I thinking of when you talk about spooky music? Hmm. I'll have to think about that. I've got to get my SoundCloud. What I'm going to do with my SoundCloud is I'm going to do like, since most of them are instrumental demos that were made for singers to write to, I'm going to do like little like 1.5 minute samples, so you don't have to just listen to the same riffs all over again. Old creepy gospel music, Alan Lomax's field recordings of prison songs, folk songs, gospel. Yeah, well, that's who did that? That Moby album, Go, or was it? No, what was that Moby album called? Play. Yes, yes. I'm gonna make you a playlist whether you want me to or not. Please do. CD says, any idea if remote viewing encountered the angelic demonic realms? I believe they did. Yes, especially what's his name? I think Joseph Mamonagle. That's his name. Yeah. Wondering if your time at Esalen with the remote OG spoke to that. No, they did not. But I do find it interesting that the first time after I left Esalen was when those huge fires that started in Humboldt County and just burned down the coast, and actually the flames were like licking at the gates of Esalen. That was my whole experience after the first time. I that's in the Endless American Midnight as well. It's called Born in Flames because a bunch of really fucked up stuff happened after I got back from Esalen. Very, very weird, very weird. So maybe that answers your question. I listened to Hildegard von Bingen and Gregorian chants. Yeah, love that stuff, Bronwyn. Love that stuff. Beautiful music. I'm a big fan of choral music in general. Tom Waits is pretty good spooky music. I'll go with that. Yeah. What's the name of that album with Hang On St. Christopher? That back in the 80s, I used to listen a lot with my old co-worker. Berberian Sound Studio broadcasted the score. Yes. Very cool music broadcast. Yes. I found Jimmy Page's Lucifer Rising to be the spookiest thing I've heard. Can't listen to that with the lights off. Is the cut of his, so the Lucifer Rising cut with his soundtrack is more interesting than the cut with Bobby Beausoleil's. And I'm not putting down Bobby Beausoleil's soundtrack. It's just the way it was cut with Jimmy Page's soundtrack. It goes together. I think you can watch that on YouTube. I'm not sure. If not, maybe I should make it available to you guys. I've read about remote viewers being forced out of places like the Vatican, Library, and White House when attempting to view or astral project. Yes, that is true. Those women, one of whom was called, they called her, they called them the witches. The witches. Yes. I actually made a shirt. It says, I'd rather be listening to Hildegard von Bingen. That's good. That's a good one. Yes, I'm going to be making the PDF of Endless American Midnight available to what is it? All access VIPs and valedictorians. VIPs and valedictorians have access to the EPUB. Portishead, of course, is absolutely classic spooky music. Choral music is sublime. Yeah, I'm just a huge fan of the Human Voice. Close Lobster, the band is it Close Lobster or Close Lobsters? Violently Pretty Face is a scientifically perfect song. Okay, not familiar with it. Apologize. Not familiar with it. Yes, the human voice is a beautiful thing. And it's interesting because I was listening to Carpenters, right? And they have all those like really super incredible hits, but it's kind of like with ABBA. Like once you get past the hits, the album cuts are not very good, not very inspiring. All right. Yes. Don't worry, PDF is coming. George Crumb's Black Angels is very spooky. It has a dark angel, dark energy while listening to it. I have not heard it. I should check that out. In your hardcore days, was there anyone you can recall with shared interest in esoteric cult? Well, I don't know if I can't really say that I was interested in it back then. But at the same time, I wasn't even interested in hardcore. I mean, hardcore is just a thing to do. The music, most of the music was really, really bad. Really bad. All right. Anna Calvi. Oh, Wolf Like Me, TV on the Radio. I love that song. I love that song. That's on my 2000s mix, Wolf Like Me. And also the one they did with Bowie. What happened to TV on the radio? They had some really great stuff. Beth Gibbons has one of the most beautiful of singing voices. Yes, very much so. Songs like Machine Gun. Okay. Yes. So Beth Gibbons and Elizabeth did that really insanely creepy. It was the same people who did Siren Song in Australia. It was called Clarion Call. Very weird. Joseph says here, Hymna Simyor is incredible Icelandic choral music. You can see it on YouTube. So beautiful, make you cry. Yeah, I believe Elizabeth sang that. That's a song, right? I believe that that's the song that Elizabeth sang when she appeared at Black's Club, and she sang that, and she sang some else. I would have loved to hear her sing that, boy. But the chorals versions of that are amazing. Donovan is classic spooky music. Big fan of Donovan, absolutely. My favorite song by Donovan is Cosmic Wheels. You've got to listen to Anna Calvi's cover. It is so good. Her voice is incredible. I'm sure I do. Love TV on the radio. The lead singer died? Oh, Jesus, that's terrible. That's really bad. Lyra Lynn did a great version of Wolf Like Me. Yes, that's a great song. I've not heard Lyra Lynn. Not heard her. All right. Yeah. Why am I forget? There's a band that I wanted to mention when you're talking about like Portishead and something. And what is the name of that group? Oh, they're big Cocteau Twins fans, but they're kind of like more like trip hop. Oh God, I'm blanking out on the name. You're naming a bunch of people that I've never heard of. Sorry, I apologize. I apologize. Not heard any of these names. Not heard of Lyra Lynn, Ravi Bashio, Jackson C. Frank, Hooverphonic. No, that's not the group I'm thinking of. What are my favorite foods? So my favorite food of all that I eat a lot of is yogurt smoothies. I take yogurt and I mix in frozen fruit and I eat that stuff up. Get all my probiotics. Well, what else is my favorite food? What's my favorite food? I don't know, just the basics. I'm such a basic bitch. I'm telling you, so many things that I like are just so basic. Sneaker pimps. No, not sneaker pimps, not Mochiba. What is the name? Oh, good lord. I can't believe I'm blanking out on the name. It's a male female duo. Mostly like their first album. Some really great songs in it, and just really great like chord changes and stuff. Greek yogurt with honey and blackberries. Protein in yogurt makes it convenient. Okay, sounds good. Sounds good to me. What is the name of that group? Why am I blanking on the name? I'm terrible with names. I feel like I should open. Let me just open. I'm going to open Spotify. Hopefully, it won't mess up the stream. Male female duo. Does any here like electronic dance music? Some not Beach House. Close. Not stereo. Oh, I love Stereo Lab. Big fan of Stereo Lab. Their old stuff. Before what was her name? Mary. What was her name? The background singer who died, and I think she just added so much to the sound. So much to the sound. Is the group 90s? They're they're very recent. My daughter is fans of them as well. Verifying Spotify. Stars. The night starts here. That's on my playlist too. Love Air. Air is great. They're a good one. Can we get Doritos in the Secret Sun Institute's cafeteria? Yes, yes. Doritos coming right up. Let's see. Okay. I'm just looking through. I'm looking through some of the groups that I have saved. It's quite a mix. Alcest, red lorry, yellow lorry, froze, spinning. Oh no. Okay. Oh, I am frozen. Terrific, terrific, terrific. Great. So the thing that with like Spotify and before that iTunes really changed my orientation from being into artists into being into songs, like playlists. I like to construct playlists. I don't usually listen to just one group at a time. Um, there are very few groups that can capture my interest for that amount of time. I close. Wait, no, it is open. I'm gonna quit it. When I find out the name of that group, I will let you guys know. I just totally forgot, and I apologize. I just when I'm in a mode, you know what I mean? Like I'm in a mode, my mind is so focused on one thing. It's like everything else just kind of gets flushed, unfortunately. Okay. So if you know a male female duo, kind of dancey but guitar-y, uh, that's that's what I'm talking about. They're not completely unlike um, Portishead, but they're more up tempo and they're American. All right. So again, code 46. I feel like I'm gonna need to get that movie out for you guys to watch. All right, that's code 46 that I just put up for you guys. Depeche Mode's got a new album coming out, by the way. The Kills. No. You know, there's a group that I really like that a lot of people haven't heard of called Mahogany. They're from that sort of early 2000s Brooklyn scene. Really good album. Got together with family. My cousin's 13-year-old daughter was listening to all the music from the 80s and 90s because of Spotify playlist. Yes, absolutely. Not the White Stripes. Nope. Okay. So do watch Code 46. Do watch that movie. Wait, is it the Phantom? Oh, what is it? Phantogram. Phantogram is the group that I was thinking of. I apologize. Phantogram. But mostly their first album. Yeah, so it's like I'm more oriented towards songs and albums. Like I said, I was trying to listen to Carpenters today. And you know, I love Karen Carpenter's voice, and the two of them were just incredible geniuses. But the material just runs real weak, pretty quickly. Phantogram, yes. Favorite Depeche Mode albums: Violator, absolutely Violator. Um, I like Songs of Faith and Devotion. I really wasn't into Depeche Mode until Violator came out. I mean, I was familiar with this stuff and I heard a lot on the radio, but it was really Violator that did it for me. So I'm sorry. I know that's very predictable. Sweet chili Doritos. There you go. There you go. Chromatics. Yeah. You know, I got their album back when people got albums. um, because of I really dug them on Twin Peaks, and that singer is incredibly beautiful. But I don't know. The whole album really didn't do it for me. Didn't do it for me. Phantogram had that huge song when I was small. I think of them. Yep, there we go. Mamas and the Papas. Well, again, I mean, you know, great singles. Greatest hits. Great harmonies. I love vocal harmonies. Just really, I think harmony is greatly undervalued. Harmony is kind of like my obsession. You lost your Violator shirt. Well, there's always eBay. There's always eBay. Yeah, Violator is it's kind of like frozen in time because that came out around the same time as Heaven Las Vegas, and just that period. you know, Violator was their peak. Yeah, I think so. Songs of Faith and Devotion is really good too. I the other stuff just doesn't interest me. The stuff after that doesn't interest me at all. Anna Calvi's Wolf Like Me. All right, I'll check it out. I'll check it out. Favorite dessert and favorite sandwich type. Right. Favorite dessert. Um, vanilla ice cream with granola mixed in. Vanilla is the finest of the flavors. Favorite sandwich type? Um, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think in those terms. I don't think in those terms. I don't know. When sandwiches, I like a lot of vegetables. So I like, good romaine lettuce and sweet onions and good fresh tomatoes and uh, a sandwich to me is not a sandwich without a lot of greenery, let's just say. Harmony is sorely lacking in modern music, absolutely, because harmony is hard. I mean, harmony comes hard. It takes hard work. You really have to know what you're doing. You really have to know what you're doing. And of course, Elizabeth is the queen of harmony. Yes, no less an expert than Prince said so. Kath Bloom. Not familiar with Kath Bloom. Can't believe I forgot Fantagram. That's just embarrassing. I apologize. Corned beef and chocolate chip cookies. Yes. I don't know if I like corned beef sandwiches. I do love corned beef though. We have it every Saint well, not every we used to have it every St. Patrick's Day. I'd make boiled dinner, which is corned beef and cabbage and potatoes and carrots. Yes. With Depeche Mode, I feel like I'm constantly or content listening to 10 particular songs of theirs from various albums. Okay. I can't argue with that. Rob said I had a great time watching a dark song and appreciate it even more now. All this talk about food, I gotta go for some pizza. If we're still go. I will not keep a man from his food, from his dinner. Best THC guests or episodes other than you. I haven't, I'm embarrassed. I haven't listened to THC in a while. I just don't have time. I don't know if you've noticed, but I produce a lot of content. I just don't have the time to do that. A Reuben. I do love Reubens. Yes. Reubens are fantastic, but it's all just stuff that makes I'm allergic to. It's like mustard, vinegar. I'm allergic, so it's vinegar and sauerkraut, and even corned beef. I shouldn't really eat. I have issues with that. Yes, pastrami. Yes. Vaguely vegetarian, pescatarian. Every time I've tried to be vegetarian, my skin and my hair just start to look really bad. I start to look like sick, like ill. Wendy and Bonnie's Lone album from 1969. Not familiar with it. Not familiar with it. I apologize for that. Whitney Webb was just on THC. Okay. Haven't heard it yet. Let's see here. When you say Wendy and Bonnie, I think of Jan and Lorraine. You know that song number 33? That's a creepy ass song. Talk about scary songs. I should put that on a creepy list. Keep up with so many podcasts, it feels impossible. Yeah. And like I said, I'm so busy all the time. My head is just like in that zone. Greg's kind of taking THC in a new direction, more health stuff. Yeah. Well, he probably doesn't want to get shut down by the government, right? Too many great podcasts, too little time. Yeah, there are a lot of good ones. Too many great podcasts and no time is kind of my story, unfortunately. So like what it is that my brain is like, it gets in kind of like a track, I don't want to say a rut, but it just gets on a track and it's like when I'm on a project, when I'm working on an essay or whatever, it's like everything is focused on that. Everything is focused on that. So I really don't get time to listen to a lot of people. And I'm glad Greg's doing health stuff, because I'm kind of bored with a lot of the other stuff. Any book that I would recommend for Halloween, one that is really scary? Good question. Let me think about that. Oh, scary book. Scary book. I would just say like a collection of Lovecraft stuff. What happened with my show with Recluse? Nothing's happened with it. I just appear on a show. We haven't done a show together. Chris hires some of us to be virtual assistants so you'll be less busy. I wish I could afford you. I wish I could afford that. Pozole, Mexican soup. Do yourself a favor and try some. It's funny you should mention that. I was just telling my wife a couple weeks ago. I lost my taste for soup. I don't know why. I just can't eat soup anymore. I used to eat soup all the time. I used to love my clam chowder. Britney Spears' Twitter feed has been very revealing lately. Yes, I'm sure it has. Is Recluse still around? Yes, he's got a Patreon. Absolutely. Sam Tripoli still goes hard. Yeah, Sam loved my last appearance on his show. Plenty of taquilleras around here with Pozole. Okay. Wendy and Bonnie's song By the Sea. Paisley Window Pane. Absolutely beautiful song. Send me links. OCD hyperfixation mode. Very familiar with it. Yes. 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 It's a thing. It's a thing. Doing anything for Halloween. I don't do things for Halloween. I don't dress up. I'm very boring. Very boring. Very boring. The day before, we're going to be celebrating our anniversary over at my son's house. So there you go. All right. Yes, exactly. Recluses on Patreon is pushing out interesting content regularly. Yeah, I mean, I do a show fairly regularly. I wasn't on that long ago, so there you go. And he wants to. I don't know if he wants to. He wants to talk. I don't know if he wants to talk on the record, but he's got some things that he wants to talk about West Memphis 3 about. So maybe we'll do a show on that. I'm not sure. Yeah, Recluse. Yeah, he was. He kind of got his start in my old comment section, and then he started doing Vice up, and he's just done a lot of great work on that blog. A lot of great work on that blog. I hope this clicking, my nervous clicking, isn't making anybody crazy. You're gonna dress up. Yeah, that is spooky. That's a spooky costume. My favorite constellation, Virgo. Well, I should say Cancer because I'm a Cancer, but my wife's a Virgo, so I'm going to say Virgo. And plus, Virgo's got spica. What's my favorite smell scent? Fresh coffee. Clam chowder, New England, and Manhattan. New England. I mean, dude, come on. What do you think? Of course, New England. I would get the so what I'd do is I'd get the chunky soup, and then I'd always get like cans of clams to add to it because there was never enough clams in those things. Mothman Prophecies is a great Halloween read if you haven't already read it. Yes. That book was not, when I read that book, it was not what I was expecting. It was, yeah, it's a very different book than I was expecting. So there you go. And even though I think he's turned into a ghoul, a lot of early Stephen King books are very good books.
the classics, Shining and Carrie and The Stand and all those ones are very good books. Um, he's a loathsome individual, though. Loathsome individual. Rain is the best smell, objectively, and honeysuckles. Do love honeysuckles. It always reminds me of when I was a kid. It was always when school was getting out for the summer. I'd walk home and smell those honeysuckles. It's weird. I used to walk to school when I was in kindergarten. Chunky. Yeah, I don't eat soup anymore. And then I was eating the what's that other stuff? They made a pretty good New England clam chowder, but Chunky changed some of their recipes. Like they started putting some different seasonings in their soups, and I just didn't like them. Clams, pencil erasers. Okay. When I was a kid, every time we went out to eat, I would get the whole clams, like fried clams, and the whole platter with the French fries and the coleslaw and so on. I love those whole clams. Any misgivings, concerns about Halloween and how it's celebrated by modern secular culture? For a while, I was concerned about it, but I think that it seems to me that the whole COVID nonsense kind of put a damper on it. Like it doesn't seem to be as big a deal as it was a few years ago. Um, yeah, but all that kind of these festivals, like what I call the repaganization process, even though Halloween is not objectively pagan, it's a Christian holiday. It's a myth that it was pagan derived. I wear honeysuckle perfume and obsessed making a true to life honeysuckle using honey. Good luck to you. I don't know anything about making perfumes, so there you go. Soup supremacists. I don't know. Like I said, I don't eat soup anymore. I don't know what it is. I just sort of lost my taste for it. Vintage Traditionalist says, love listening to your appearances on Sam Tripoli. He's so animated as it is, and you blow his mind every 2 to 3 minutes. Yeah, it's a lot of fun doing Sam's show, and he's a super nice guy. I know he sort of has like a I don't know, like a curmudgeonly or sort of abrasive public persona, but he's a sweetheart of a guy. Sweetheart of a guy. I want any sort of soup except for gumbo since there's too much of it around here and is overrated. It's funny you should mention gumbo. So I make my own version of Franks and beans, which is kind of like gumbo. So I use Franks and beans. I use black beans, cheddar cheese, uh, peppers, onions, corn. What else do I use? And I kind of make it so it has almost like a stew, like a thick stew um, consistency. It's nothing like any frank. It is more like a gumbo, but not like a gumbo. You can't call yourself a true New Englander if you prefer clam strips over whole bellies. Yeah, absolutely. Clam strips are for punks. Soup basically equates to heartburn at my age. Yes, chicken soup forever. Yeah, I mean, I have made. Well, I guess more recently, I do. Chicken soup has to be homemade. You can't get it out of a jar or can. You have to do it yourself. So if I make it, you know, um, it'll be good. But it's got to be homemade. It's got to be homemade. Um, it's just not the same in a jar or can or whatever. Black beans are the superior beans, absolutely. Chicken and rice soup, chicken and vegetable soup, chicken and matzo ball soup. Yes, yes, all the above. Um, yes, yes, absolutely. All right. I'm not sure exactly what you guys are discussing there, so I'll just leave it to you. Yes, matzo ball salt is comfort food, absolutely. Yes. I used to get matzah and um, the egg matzah and have it with hummus, like dip it in hummus. That's it's good eating. Good eating. Egg noodles, sauteed cabbage and onions, salt and pepper. Yeah, sounds good to me. Sounds very good. Um, it's I haven't been using a lot of cabbage in my cooking recently, but cabbage is when I do when I make egg foo young, when I make egg foo young, I'll use, instead of bean sprouts, I'll use cabbage. Why won't Jillian Anderson respond to my calls or texts? Because she's crazy. Jillian is crazy. Yeah, Jillian. Mm, yeah, she broke my heart. She uh, she let Hollywood have its way with her, unfortunately. What are my pets' names and what kind of pets? Uh, what do you take me for? Absolutely right. My pets. Okay, so we have Linda, our collie, Mr. Puddles, and Scooter Pie, the Boston Terriers. We have 4 cats: Pancakes, Brownfellow, Tuna, and BBG. And then we have 2 rabbits, Clary and Dave. And then we have a hedgehog named Prickles. I think that's everybody. Vegetarian chili, very good. Yeah, it can be. Yeah. I used to make chili a lot. I haven't made it in a while because I got tired of it. But when I was making chili, I would make it with chicken, and like not ground chicken, but like chicken breast, chopped chicken breast, which I tend to like better than beef or ground meat chili. With vegetarian chili, you can use TVP too, right? And it's all the seasonings anyway. Do I keep up with the American Gods TV show? No, I don't. I tried watching it a few times and I just really didn't like it. Which is funny because I love Emily Browning and I used to love Gillian Anderson, but no, I could not watch it. I just found it to be insufferable. um, Animal person, yeah, very, very much an animal person. Pancakes and tuna, yes. Collies are great dogs, yeah. Linda really was a lifesaver for me. Linda is my spirit antenna. She really helped me reconnect. And unfortunately, she's getting old and she's got dementia, and it's very, very heartbreaking. She's not doing well. Her hearing's going, and I just it's so heartbreaking when dogs get old. So heartbreaking. Chicken chili is great if you have green chilies in it. I don't know if I use the green chilies with chili. So tomatoes, black beans, always black beans, chopped chicken, A lot of cilantro, onions, peppers. What else? A lot of cumin, a lot of garlic, a lot of pepper. What else? Corn. Yeah, corn again. Why does everything on Netflix suck so bad? Because there's nothing left to say. Um, ever found myself drunk late night eating at the Braintree Bickfords? Way back in the day when I was a kid, sure. That was a long time ago. Long time ago. So what I would do, when the kids were here, is that I really wanted to make everything. I used to be a cook, right? I used to be a line cook. So I always wanted it, to kind of feel like everything had like kind of a restaurant vibe to it, but better. Um, one of the reasons, I don't stop enjoying going out to eat is because the food was, I was like, I could make this better. American Horror Story live stream, yes. First two seasons, absolutely, especially the second season. The shows all look visually identical. Yeah. Um, yeah. I have no interest in that stuff. You work in an actual spice store. Oh, there you go. I could use some cardamom. Hint, hint. Uh, yes, and I'll make uh like sort of Indian curry kind of style things. But I don't I use yogurt instead of cream. I know a lot of those sauces use a lot of heavy cream, and I don't like heavy cream in sauces. I use yogurt. CD, have I spoken on True Detective season one? Yeah, we will be doing season one. Don't worry about that. Absolutely. We'll get around to it. We just have so much to do. Have I been watching Serpent Queen? No, I don't have stars. So, and plus, I don't like those period dramas. I hate those like kind of posh, stagey English accents. You liked She-Hulk and the Lord of the Rings? Is something wrong with you? Well, listen, you know, who am I to judge? Who am I to judge? I will not judge you for that. I just don't watch these things anymore. I went through a period where I was getting, I've got like hundreds and hundreds of DVDs, and before streaming really kicked off, and then streaming just kind of took the fun out of it, for me, because not only do I have OCD, but I also have ADHD, so it gets to be kind of tough for me. It gets to be kind of tough for me. But I'd make pizza, so I'd make pizza from scratch. My dough secret was half flour, half like Bisquick. Or if I didn't have Bisquick, I would use sort of like baking powder as well as yeast. I always wanted the bread to have almost like a pastry kind of taste. I'm sorry, the crust. I don't like those really bland, flavorless crusts that you get in a lot of places. Terry Pratchett, Discworld books, no, no. I do not like fantasy at all. Did I ever watch Satyricon? Yes, I did a long time ago. I did. I did watch Satyricon. Holy Mountain? I think so. I watched a bunch of Jodorowsky films at one point. Um, the one Jodorowsky film that I liked the best, I think, was Santa Sangra. But I really liked his Mad Woman with a Sacred Heart graphic novel that he did with Mobius. Our Sam is incredible. Yeah, well, she's always incredible. Yeah, she takes after her mother. Season one of True Detective is one of the best ever seasons of TV. Yeah, we'll definitely be doing that. We'll definitely be doing that. And we won't talk about, what was her name? Alexandra Dario. I think so. yeah, we'll skip that part of it. But yes, definitely be doing that. I'd like to do a Twin Peaks: The Return. I mean, this. Listen, we're just sit back and relax because we're gonna have a lot of content coming up. So much to talk about, so much to go over, and the list just keeps growing. Favorite Twilight Zone episode? Oh, thank you. What is my favorite Twilight Zone episode? Favorite Twilight Zone episode? Maybe the one with Charles Bronson and Elizabeth Montgomery. No, 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 no. The one, the one about that's sort of like the computer tells them not to eat certain foods, and then it's who is it? Is it Lee Marvin in that or James Coburn? It's either Lee Marvin or James Coburn. I think that's my favorite. Ever watch 100 Days of Sodom? Uh, I've watched clips of it, and that is enough for me. I don't need to watch that kind of thing. Netflix new series, The Watcher. Yes, yes. The Marquis de Sade ever come up in my dives? No, but you ever see that movie Quills? Who is that? Jeffrey Rush? I think Joaquin Phoenix. Is that Kate Winslet in that? I forget. I did like that movie, but I will just tell you right now that I have a major hang up about sexual anything remotely approaching anything that combines sex and violence. I'm gone. I just have an extreme revulsion to sexual violence in all its forms. Twin Peaks, yeah. I mean, we could just do a live stream just on episode 8. Maybe we should do a series of them. Absolutely. Uh, did I get to the right one? I mean, Twilight Zone. Oh gosh. I mean, those are the two that come to mind, but there are just so many great episodes of that series. Rod Serling was just such a phenomenal genius. Um, there's a guy named Arlen Schumer who was at the first time I went to Esalen, and he's done a lot of has this whole presentation like a PowerPoint and everything that he did on the Twilight Zone, and it's phenomenal. I mean, if you didn't appreciate the Twilight Zone before, you would really. I don't know if he's still doing it. We kind of fell out because he got mad at me because I was defending Stan Lee in a Jack Kirby group. All 5 seasons of the original Twilight Zone series. I'll tell you the one thing I don't like when they did the hour-long ones. That I thought was really. Oh, another episode of Twilight Zone. The one that's like the dreams where she's sick and she's got a real fever. It's like the sun is zooming in or the sun is zooming out, and the painting melts. I really like that episode as well. I mean, there's just so many episodes of the Twilight Zone that I love. It's hard to pick one. The Old Man in the Cave. Yes, that's it. That's a great one. Yes. And I believe it's James Coburn in it. Yeah, he plays a sort of brutish, there's that kind of post-apocalyptic thing. Um, Night Gallery is horrible, though. I made the mistake of getting a DVD set of Night Gallery, and it's just so bad. It was that series was just awful, and I don't think that he was really involved past doing the introductions and so on. But I remember watching that when I was a kid and thinking, "Oh, this is great," because I was a kid and I was stupid. But that's a really, really bad series, unfortunately. Excuse me. Song remains the same. Movie. Yeah. Oh yeah. Zeppelin were definitely yeah, they were a studio band. Those live performances are awful. Hitchhiker, yeah, that's a great one too. Hitchhiker's a great one, absolutely. Monsters on Maple Street, absolutely. There's so many great episodes of Twilight Zone that it's hard to choose. Outer Limits was a great show, yep. And you probably know I'm a fan of the new series too, which most people kind of don't understand, but it has to do with synchronicity. A lot of really powerful synchronicities in that second series. My favorite episode of Outer Limits, Bolero Shield, the Midnight Sun. Yes, that's the one I'm talking about. That's the one I'm talking about. The episode of Twilight Zone. Yes, maybe he had an influence. Maybe he had an influence on the Secret Sun. I don't know. Yeah, Serling was just phenomenal, phenomenal genius. But he didn't want to play the Hollywood game. They kind of like semi blacklisted him. And of course, he smoked like a chimney and it dropped him. Um, it's just amazing how many, people just were smoking and taking barbiturates. And, that's one thing, Paul McCartney had said about Brian Epstein is like, people were just, these drugs were new and people didn't know how many you could take. I don't think Brian Epstein was murdered. I don't think he wanted to kill himself. It was probably an accidental death, but I could be wrong because it's been a while since I studied that stuff. But I'm just telling you what McCartney or Billy, aka Billy Shears, had said about that. Um, there you go. There you go. Yeah, so I want to do Twin Peaks. I want to do True Detective. I want to do at least American Horror Story Asylum because that's the most Secret Sun one. Um, Evan Peters is a phenomenal actor, and his Boston accent in that is flawless. Believe me, I get really upset when I don't hear good Boston accents. Oh yes, Rob, we're back. We are here. We're going to be going to midnight. We're going to be going to the witching hour. So hold on tight. The Obsolete Man. I mean, oh, come on. I mean, how do you name just one episode of the Twilight Zone? It was phenomenal. Phenomenal. Bolero Shield is probably my favorite Outer Limits though. But what else? What else episodes? Oh, The Inheritors too. The two-part one with Robert Duvall, who's a fantastic actor. Really great. Really great. Lost Martian. Don't remember that one. That's not the one at the diner, is it? With like the two heads or something? I don't know. You know, the episodes that I like a lot about the Twilight Zone too, because there were a number of them. Because like Rod Serling was really nostalgic. Where did he grow up? Upstate New York somewhere. Um, I'm thinking like Poughkeepsie or something. But he did a lot of episodes about like people trying to return to the past and so on. There's that one about with the train and everything, and you could tell that was really powerful impulse that he just he had probably had a very idyllic upbringing and wanted to return to it. Uh, escape modernity. Escape modernity. It's weird watching myself. 13 Days, Cuban Missile Crisis. Costner, he's not a very good actor. Reference. Yes, well, oh, oh, okay. In Forehead Sweat. Okay, I got you. Um, yeah, that's a great episode. That was a great episode. I really hated Darren Morgan's. I hated that one with Rice Darby. I thought Rice Darby was terrific, but if it didn't have anything, it would be insufferable. Yes, the Mandela Effect. Yes, that's a great episode. That is a truly great episode. Yes, I have looked into what happened to Shelley Duvall. um, some people blame Kubrick. I mean, it could just be she just maybe she had organic dementia or schizophrenia. Not uncommon in actors and actresses. I did watch that Dr. Phil um, interview, which was very hard to watch. But I've run into people like that, particularly older women who seem to have had schizophrenic breaks, and it's very, 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 very tragic and heartbreaking. Wild Wild West for the first time in decades, still campy, but don't recall it being so bizarre. The TV show, yeah, I used to love that show. What is it? What's his name? Robert Conrad. Yeah. My mother always thought he was gay for some reason. Maybe it was just the outfits he wore on that show. And then he did those ads with a battery. Yeah, very old school kind of actor. Let's see. Great recent interview with her, with Shelley Duvall. Yeah. Very upsetting. I wish I could say it's unusual. A lot of, you know, people who are very famous and successful actors kind of hit the skids very hard, particularly with actresses. It's strange. I mean, look what happened to Aaron Moran. Dr. Phil interview was horribly exploitative. Yeah, maybe. I don't know if I thought of it that way. I just thought she just was not in good shape, and she was probably, maybe she would have better days. Maybe the stress of it. Um, I mean, who knows? Who knows? Um, People get old, People get old, and sometimes things just go awry. There's nothing that can be done about it. It could be genetic, it could be organic, it could be drugs. I really think that, a lot of people, with the Parkinson's and Robin Williams, speaking of Shelley Duvall, Robin Williams with the Lewy body dementia and so on. I think a lot of that was cocaine. I think a lot of it was cocaine. And I don't know if you guys saw the footage of Michael J. Fox from the Comic Con when they had him reunite with Christopher Lloyd. It was really, really just absolutely heartbreaking to see him in that kind of condition. Parkinson's is such a cruel and vicious disease. Cruel and vicious disease. And just to see the state he's in, um, I do wonder a lot about, like people who were celebrities or rock stars or something, when they, like I said, when the Parkinson's or the multiple sclerosis, a lot of these neurological disorders, I really do wonder if it's the drugs. Shelley's doing fine nowadays, living in a small town in Texas. Well, good for her. I'm glad to hear that. Maybe she's got, good therapy and is on some effective medication. I hope so. I hope so. Um, I was never a big fan of her as an actress, but she's doing well. I think that's fantastic. Um, Dementia, schizotypal rather than full-blown schizophrenia. If I had to make an armchair diagnosis, yeah, um, very possible. My grandmother was schizophrenic. Um, it was her decline into dementia was very hard to watch. With the schizophrenia on top of it. Yeah, that's the real body horror to me. Just the fact that so many things can go wrong. With these neurological disorders. Like I said, if you I don't recommend you watch it, but if you just want to see just how vicious a disease like Parkinson's can be, that footage with Michael J. Fox was just so heart wrenching. I mean, it's not even like heartbreaking. It's just heart shattering. Particularly if you are nostalgic for the '80s at all. Um, and it's funny because I never liked Family Ties, and I hated Back to the Future movies, but still, I mean, he's just part of your upbringing. He's part of your culture, or part of my culture growing up. And just to see him in that kind of condition is just, ugh. Mm. But don't worry, Billy Connolly says he knows how to hypnotize his tremors away. He can just look at his hand and hypnotize it, and his tremor goes away. So he's got the easily hypnotizable form of Parkinson's that doesn't show up in any other, you know, kind of other symptoms. It's severely atypical Parkinson's, I guess. Oh, by the way, I was talking about when I was kind of like a lab rat for these medications, and I talked about a Parkinson's drug that they put me on that I just had the most nightmarish reaction to. It was called Mirapex. Mirapex is the drug, and that's the drug that some guy said that made him gay. He started taking it and became a power bottom or something. My great grandmother was schizophrenic. Difficult for everyone involved. America's useless healthcare system. Meds that have terrible side effects. Yeah, the meds which cause you to gain weight. Actually, I was on. I don't know if it was a schizophrenic. I was on a drug that they subscribe, or they're supposed to prescribe for. I don't know if it's psychosis or schizophrenia. This was part of the cocktail that idiot doctor had me on, and he prescribed this drug as a sleeping agent, and I gained like 50 pounds. It was horrific, horrific. All right, any more questions? I'm gonna just see. So if you haven't watched A Dark Song yet, I hope you do. I hope this inspires you to watch it. It is truly great piece of filmmaking. Truly great piece of filmmaking. And I always feel like, with Hollywood just circling the drain the way it is, particularly creatively, that it's giving rise to all these new voices, interesting voices, making interesting films, and this is definitely one of them. Mm. CD says I referenced a Stallone movie during the Mandy stream. Was it Cobra? Yes, it was. The New Order cult. Yes. Seroquel. What, the drug that they put me on as a sleep agent? Uh, no, it was Zyprexa. Zyprexa was called, and it was horrible. It was a really horrible drug, and it was really, really hard to kick that one. That was one of the nightmarish ones. That apparently is supposed to be one of the worst drugs to wean yourself off of, and I did, and it was horrible, absolutely horrible. I when I was getting off all those drugs and stuff, I just basically was bedridden for a very long time. I just was just a hermit, just hiding away from the world, like literally in bed with like the covers over my head, like just watching X-Files rerun on my iPad. Yeah, all these, oh God, all these streaming services. so little of the stuff I just find interesting. Once in a while you'll just find like something really great, like the originals, the first season of Stranger Things, but or Maniac. I loved Maniac. Mindhunter, loved Mindhunter. Uh, but just so much of it is just garbage. An old friend's dad died of because of Zyprexa. Yeah, it's poison, freaking poison. Oh, I haven't taken it for ages. I weaned myself off of it 6 years ago, almost 6 years ago. It's poison. It's poison. And Topamax, the other one, that's also poison. That makes people's hair fall out. Horrific side effects from that medication. Yes, 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 yes. And that doctor was prescribing all these things totally off label. Like I wasn't supposed to be on an antipsychotic. I wasn't supposed to be on an epilepsy drug. I wasn't supposed to be on, I don't know, whatever else he was trying to shove down my gullet. Hulu. Yeah, I quit Hulu. I quit Hulu. Bronwyn says I rewatch British comedies just to space out and get my head out of the darkness. Excellent idea. Excellent idea. I totally approve of that idea. I totally approve of that idea. Topamax is topiramate. It's a epilepsy drug that this idiot doctor had me on that had really distressing side effects, let's just say. Yeah. And like I said, all those stupid drugs just made everything worse. Why does it sound familiar? Maybe because I talked about it before. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Uh, yes, for migraines. Yes. Well, I was getting a lot of migraines. I still get migraines. I don't get migraines as much as I used to, but yeah, it is used for migraines. Maybe that's. I don't think he gave it to me for migraines though. Anyone see any meteorites during the current Orionid shower? No, no, I haven't. I haven't. I think the skies are clouded now. I don't think tonight's a good night to watch. Stargazing, not easy here in the swamp. Everything's too obscured. Yeah, well, if you've got a lot of tree cover, that kind of hurts the cause, so to speak. Mm, 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 well, all medications, they develop side effects, and it's not natural to your body, but you know, a lot of things that people just have issues that need to be addressed. Unfortunately, unfortunately. Has CBD cannabis helped you? Like you wouldn't believe, Zach. Like you wouldn't believe. I honestly believe that. So I've been doing like just Delta 8, sometimes Delta 8 with THC. Phenomenal. much more effective than any painkiller that I've taken. Just tremendous anti-inflammatory. I don't do CBD. I do, like I said, yeah. So I do edibles. Helped me tremendously, like you wouldn't believe. Like you wouldn't believe. Time for your afternoon nap. Well, you have a good nap now. Down there in the time zone from Mars. What is it? You know, I always would have this conversation with Gordon about the time zones. But yes, Bronwyn, enjoy yourself. Thank you for joining us. Enjoyed having you along. Enjoyed having you along. Any others? Any others? What are we doing? Thank you very much, CD, and thank you for everyone for joining us. Yes, we've got a good group here, got a good mix of people. It's very gratifying, very gratifying. Um, we found the others. We have found the others. Absolutely. The one problem I'm having with the Delta 8s, though, I mean, with edibles in general, is just the incredible inconsistency with the potency. Like I've got a like a it's actually a jar. I've got a jar of them right now, and they're supposed to be like, oh, they're the strongest things ever, you know, and they're not. They're not the strongest things ever at all, at all. Oh yeah, I'm pretty hungry too. I'm pretty hungry too. I don't know what to eat though. You are welcome. You are welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. If you haven't watched this movie, please do. Please do. It is a phenomenal movie. Absolutely.